Welcome back to the Shadowproof Podcast, everybody. Well, you know what we do. We shine light on the hidden struggles that keep so many of us living in the dark. What's going on with everybody? As you know, my name is Coach Jose, your favorite podcast host, and I'm honored to continue walking this journey with you guys. As already know, on the Shadowproof Podcast, we talk about the real, raw, uncut, unspoken battles, the weight of the silence, and how this affects us, the masks we wear, and the path toward healing and freedom. So, as always, if this podcast speaks to you, resonates with you, or you know somebody that this could help, please smash that like button, subscribe, share it up. We got to keep building this Shadowproof army. The more we send it to people, the more people listen, the more we like it, the more this crazy algorithm shares it out to other individuals. So please, I appreciate all you guys who listen. Please make sure you hit that like button. Smash that like button. I want you guys to do that right now as you're listening. Smash that like button for your boy, Coach Jose. Let me know that I'm your favorite podcast host. So I hope everybody's having a great week. Welcome once again. I know, I said Tuesdays and I'm a little off, but I got to keep everybody on your toes. As you know, I'm a Navy veteran, founder of Fortified Within Coaching. And today's theme, what real freedom looks like when we step out of that mask, right? What that really looks like when we step out of that mask. Think about that, guys. Last week we talked about the mask we wear, and I shared with you guys and I asked you guys to think about which one of those masks do you wear every day, and how many of those can you say you've worn at some point, right? That's important, right? To understand that, right? Because we got to start with the self-awareness of where we're at, what we do. And as you always hear me say, we can't bleed on people that didn't cut us. And we live that. We live in that space naturally, right? So why do we wear these masks, right? We talked about that last week, but why do we wear these masks? Think about that. Some of it's because of fear. Some of it is I'm ashamed. I don't want to let people know that I'm really hurting, what I'm really going through mentally. Sometimes it's just acceptance, right? We're in the wrong room, right? You guys hear me say a lot. You guys that know me hear me say a lot. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Now think about that statement for a second. That doesn't just mean that you're over here trying to think you're better than anybody. Absolutely not. That's not what I'm saying. That doesn't mean that people are inferior to you. No. When you think about that statement, being the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. One, if you're the smartest person in the room, right? And when you look at it, smarter, right? When you look at that whole term, one, what am I learning if I'm the quote unquote some smartest person in the room? Right? I used to tell my players, those of you who know me, I used to coach baseball, and I used to tell my players, if you're the best one on the team, you're on the wrong team. Yeah, it feeds your ego. You're the smartest person in the room, feeds your ego. But how are you leveling up? There's no way to level up because you're in the top of the cream of the crop in that space, right? You have to learn to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And being uncomfortable means you got to put yourself in spaces that you wouldn't normally put yourself in for whatever your reason is, right? So when we talk about acceptance, it's all about being the smartest person in the room. It's not about being the smartest. We always could learn something from somebody else, right? We could always be in a space where we could learn a lesson, right? But if we understand that, sometimes we surround ourselves with people that term, why we wear masks, and we look at that reason of acceptance is we're trying to be accepted by people that may not, may not even be on the same type of timing that we're on. And that's okay, right? That's okay. Sometimes we wear masks to meet expectations. But whose expectations are we meeting? Are we meeting our expectations? Are we trying to meet our expectations within? Or are we trying to meet someone else's expectations? Right. So let's talk about expectations. Sometimes we set expectations for people too high and they can't meet them. They're not, I hate using the word can't. I don't like that. They're not able to meet them for whatever reason that is. So when they're not able to meet them, we become disappointed. And then we choose to say that this person is, or these group of people, this situation is, they're not good enough, or they're this, or they're this type of person. Well, how do you know that that person can meet the expectation? How does the person know that is even your expectation? Are we communicating that expectation? Right? Because if we communicate that expectation and we explain why we have that expectation of whatever that may be, then it gives the person the safe space to say, hey, I don't know if I can meet that. Or, hey, let's meet halfway because I don't look at this situation right way, right? It starts with communication, but it starts with self-awareness. That sounds kind of crazy. I get it, right? It starts with communication. It starts with self-awareness. We have to communicate. We have to be self-aware in order to communicate what we're trying to communicate. So we're first question, when if you're wearing a mask because you're trying to meet expectations, or in that moment you're trying to meet an expectation, whose expectations are you trying to meet? And are you putting this expectation on yourself? Are you assuming that's the expectation that the person wants from you? Or do you actually know that, right? We have to communicate. Have to communicate that, right? We wear these masks. We wear them at home. We wear them in relationships. We wear them at work. We wear these masks everywhere. So when you look at that, right? It's like almost like Halloween every day, right? Halloween every day. We playing Halloween, right? At home, I wear this mask. With my family, I wear this mask. In the street, I wear this mask. In my career, I wear this mask, right? But why? Sometimes we do. I could attest to, depending on your situation or the situation you're in or what you're doing, you have to adapt. Absolutely, right? You're not gonna necessarily be comfortable and talk as you would at home, to a colleague at work, or depending on your career, right? Depends, right? You have to adapt. So you kind of, if you look at it that way, we kind of wearing a mask in that aspect, right? But why are we, as long as we're self-aware on why we're wearing the mask at that moment, then that makes a key difference, right? um if my assumption, right, my assumption a lot of times with people were, this is what they expect of me, right? They expect this because I'm trying to live up to what I think, what my assumption is that they want from me, right? And that's a killer for me sometimes, because I'm using the thought process of what I think they want from me based off of either conversations that me and that group or this person has had, or because of my own past traumas and my own past failures. So I assume that this person that I'm in with this new situation maybe is expecting something different of me, or whatever, right? Multiple reasons. So why can't I communicate that, right? So it goes back to my shame, right? Or fear of communicating something that possibly I may feel like I'm going to sound stupid or I'm going to sound weak, right? So we have to think about these things from a perspective of why am I trying to wear a mask if I am unsure, if I'm not certain that this is what is expected of me. Because then I'm not on the right path. I'm not even in the right space, right? I'm not even in the right plateau. We're not even on the same chapter, because this person could expect something totally different of me. So there again goes, if you turn that situation around and you talk about it from a perspective of what my expectations of this situation, from this person are, am I communicating that to that person? Have I communicated that to that person? We can't expect the person to just know, right? I hear people say all the time, well, they should know I need help, or they should know. How do I know? How do I know you need help? How do I know? Because you've told me stories of things that you're going through, I'm supposed to assume you need help. Remember, everybody's got their own things that they got going on in their life, things that they're going on. And that comes from, deeper. We'll get into that in later episodes about, how we're paying attention or not paying attention. But for the case of this episode, we can't expect the person to know that unless we communicate clearly. Responsible for what you're saying, not responsible for how people interpret it. So we can't expect people to know. I'm just supposed to know you need this. I'm just supposed to know you want me to have a conversation with you. I'm just supposed to know you want to spend time with me. I'm just supposed to know. No, I just don't know. That does sometimes life just gets in the way. Life's, right? And unfortunately, we get complacent, right? In every situation, we get complacent at work, get complacent in relationships, get complacent, and we think, oh, this person is okay. How do we know that? Did we ask that? Did we take time to really know that person is okay? Right? So I covered a lot in that little bit, right? Why we're wearing masks, why we're wearing masks, who is it? Expectations? Is it acceptance? Is it the fear? Is it the shame? I broke down all of those for you. Fear. Well, I didn't break down fear. Fear and shame to me is kind of the same thing, right? Right. So I'm wearing a mask because of that fear and shame. I fear that, or I'm shameful that you're not going to understand where I'm coming from. Again, how do I know that if I don't communicate that? I fear that, I'm shameful that you're going to judge me. How do I know that? Sometimes we need to know, so we need to know how to deal with this person, right? We need to know that. Few friends of mine and conversations I've had over the past weeks, and I think I even shared it probably in my last podcast. I can't remember. Right? I'm big on like quotes and history and analogy. Those of you that know me, like I'm a history fanatic. Like I love watching documentaries. I watch all kinds of stuff from serial killers to historic things about the military. No, I'm like big on history. Like I love it. I love knowing about, I'm a firm believer of you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you're from. So a big part of understanding where we're going, a big part of understanding, how we deal with people, right? So a quote that I shared with a couple of people, again, I might have said it in my last podcast, I can't recall right now, but DMX had an interview. I think it was one of his last interviews before he passed away. May he rest in peace. And he said, it takes too much energy not to trust somebody, right? It takes too much energy to do that. Instead of not trusting somebody, trust them to be themselves. And I was like, damn. And he was like, trust people to be themselves, just trusting the fact that you can see them well. I was like, wow, he killed that, right? DMX was known for those things, right? Trust people to be themselves, just trusting the fact that you can see them well. Trust a snake to be a snake, a rat to be trust a snake to bite you, a rat to be a rat. Trust people to just be themselves. So I say that to say that doesn't mean you love a person any less. Well, that doesn't mean that you're not going to mess with the person. You just need to know what box you need to put that person in, right? Because think about that. When you're working on yourself, you have to eliminate the things around you that are toxic for you. And when I say toxic, that force you to be in these spaces. And force is a crazy word because these are conscious choices that we make. But in order for you to heal, in order for you to fix yourself, right? And a lot of you guys have heard me talk about, it got to start from you, right? In order for you to do that, you have to eliminate the things around you that are kind of, maybe triggers, right? Triggers to this behavior or triggers to these actions, right? So when you trust people to be themselves, just trusting in the fact that you can see them well, then okay, well, this person is going to act like this, so I can't have certain conversations with this person. I'm going to put them in this box. Doesn't mean I love them any less. Doesn't mean I'm not going to mess with them. Doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to them. Doesn't even mean I'm not going to chill with them. I know how to categorize. Like, we categorize everything in our lives. We need to start categorizing the people and the people we are around, and also categorizing the situations we put ourselves in. Right? Can't do the same thing over and over and expect a different outcome. Definition of insanity, amongst other things. Right? So if we understand that part, it's think about it like this. Think about it like this. Have you ever called somebody or started a conversation with somebody? And I know I've been on both sides of this, right? I've been the side that is going to talk to somebody, and I've been the side that has been the negative Nancy, right? I've been on both sides of this, and I try to legitimately not be that person anymore. But have you ever called somebody or went to talk to somebody, and you're just really going through something? Sometimes it's just, you don't want a response, you just want somebody to listen. Or sometimes you are seeking some advice. But in every one of those instances, I can guarantee that one of the things you don't want is to get beat up by that person, right? Every situation for everybody is just simple. Well, guess what? It may not be that simple for you, right? There's variables and factors in place and going on that may not be as easy to make a decision or a move for you. So you call this person, you go talk to this person, then you get beat up. Why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? Oh my God, blah, 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 all this stuff. You don't know what you're doing. You're being so stupid. You're being this, you're being that. Everybody has the answers. Again, the variables are very different for you, right? Because, and I say this even in my practice, like whether it's anger management, you guys know, I do anger management. I facilitate anger management, certified. I do batterers intervention. I do mental health, right? All that, right? And in all that, I could listen and hear your problem. And we could I could either have gone or am going through a similar situation, or even a very exact situation, whether it be at the moment or something I've experienced. But one thing in all of that I can guarantee is my variables and my reasons or my situation is not the same. So that means that the solution is not the same, right? It's like, think about your seasoning is crazy example. You're seasoning a steak, right? You want to marinate it. Well, do you want to dry rub it, or do you want to marinate it with a sauce? Do you want to make that sauce, or do you want to not make that sauce? Do you want to like make your own sauce, or you want to buy a marinade? right? So I call you and I say, hey, I want to marinate this steak. I got this, and this, but I don't got, I want to liquid marinate it. But I got salt, pepper, this, da. Oh, I had that problem before. All I did was this, blah, blah, blah. Well, what if I don't want to make my own sauce? What if I don't want to use your route? Or it's not the same variable. I know it's a crazy example, but it's not the same, right? So the solution to this steak marination is not the same. So the solution to your problem, even though it's similar, it's not the same. And a lot of the times, in every aspect, in most aspects, people that are giving that advice situation is just as messed up as ours, right? So how could you give advice if you not even, you know what I'm saying? Like I literally got let go from a job when I first got out of the military because I literally said they hired this manager who came from like another place, whatever, and she was reprimanding one of our teammates. And I simply asked the question. I said, how could you tell somebody what to do if you never done it? I got let go for that. Like diabolical. I got let go for that, but I got let go for that, right? But it taught me a lesson, right? First of all, I must have rubbed her ego the wrong way. Second of all, my approach could have been totally horrible. I literally was out of the military like 2 months. Military life is totally different. And situation was the same. I never believed, one of the things I went through A school and learned how to do this job, right? I was an aircraft director on the USS Enterprise. And the first thing that happened when I got to the fleet was, hey, everything you learned in A school, forget it. Because we do things differently out here. You got to learn out here in the fleet. I'm like, damn, I just went to A school for all this time. You telling me to forget everything I just tried so hard studying for? Right? But they did things differently. Though it was kind of similar. It was just kind of, whatever. But the point I'm trying to make is the variable's not the same. So you talk to this person and they give you all this great advice, all this what they think is great advice. And in all that great advice, they beat you up most of the time. Right? So now we have a choice. We could choose to break down and second guess our decisions, right? And be like, damn, maybe I am stupid. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not this. Maybe I'm not that, which is the last thing we should do. Or maybe at that moment, it's not time to have the conversation with that person. But maybe later on, it's just have a conversation. Hey, I felt like this about this conversation because I really appreciated the advice, but your situation is not the same. And listen, understand and live and stand on this. Remember, and I say this a lot, is when you have a conversation with somebody and you're expressing your feelings, do not do it for them. Do it for you. If you do it for you, you go in there with no expectation. Why do I say that? Because they might not be in the mental space you're in, but they also might not be mentally, and when they're not in the mental space, they're not going to take accountability. So they're going to be like, oh, well, I might as well not tell you nothing. I'm telling you, I've been there. I've been that guy. And that's wrong. Because again, the variables are not the same. I'm learning little by little to change that part of myself because I really dislike that part about myself. Because I understand that people's variables are different. The way they think is different. And that's a thing. So that's not fair to the person. And my communication needs to come off better. And sometimes it's because I'm overwhelmed with a lot of things I got personally going on. I still battle my demons and my shadows, right? Every day. So sometimes it's a little bit of that. There's a lot of variables that go into that. But the point I'm trying to make is when you encounter these type of situations or these people, just try to have the conversation. Just not at that moment. Because you want to make sure you don't have the conversation with them at that moment because they might not be prepared to do it. But eventually you want to have that conversation because you don't want to leave an unresolved issue. Because then our small unresolved issues become larger issues in the long run. So gotta do that, right? Gotta Gotta figure that part out. Um, Gotta understand that what I said, well, not what I said, DMX, DMX. Too much energy not to trust people. Trust people to be themselves, just trusting the fact that you can see one. Trust yourself, right? And in trusting yourself, you're becoming self aware of your issues, your internal stuff, your things, right? So, moving on, defining real freedom, right? How do we define real freedom? This is part of this process. Shift your mask to authenticity. Shift your mask to authenticity. Real shit, real stuff, right? Freedom isn't an escape, it's an alignment of your values, how you feel. And our values come from self awareness. What do I value? Where do I feel I am? What do I think is important? Right? And that changes from day to day, from moment to moment. Feel peace, lightness, and describe what it feels like. Because when you understand that feeling, you know what you want. Was that what is that? Being self-aware, right? Think about that for a second. Let that marinate for a second. What does peace feel like to me? What does feeling light feel like to me? Some of you, it's like, I don't even know. I don't even know how to get that feeling. I've been there before. You got to start somewhere. We easily make excuses on on why we don't know what something feels like, or why we don't. But we easily make excuses to fix it, or try to fix it. We easily make those excuses, and we also make excuses on when you have opportunities to fix it. Oh, I can't do that right now. I ain't got time for that. Oh, why should I do that? Oh, I can't afford this. Let me tell you something. There's a lot of things in life you can't afford. Many of us. But think about the regret you'll have for not doing certain things because you decided not to if you're on your deathbed. Right? Live your life. Be happy. Feel freedom. Take time. Take you time. Right? Started with an hour a week. Started with an hour a day. Then graduate yourself. But take you time. That gives you mental clarity. That means no phone, no distractions. I'm not, for this 1 hour, I am not going to listen to my phone. I don't give a shit what goes on. Unless somebody's dying, sick, had an accident, I'm not listening to my phone because this is my 1 hour. 1 hour. The world's not going to end in 1 hour. It can, but the world's not going to, things are not going to fall apart in an hour. Though a lot of things could happen, and if you got little kids, and that's a different situation when you got young children. But I'm just saying, even put them to sleep, take an hour to yourself. They go to sleep. 1 hour is all all that it takes to start with. But that's a step in the right direction. That's a step moving towards the right direction. Here goes. Freedom is not about what we escape from. It's about what we step into. Ooh. Let that marinate right there. Freedom is not about what we escape from. It's about what we step into. And that can mean a million different things for all of us, right? But it's not about what we're escaping, it's what we're stepping into. It's a new way, a new thought process, a new mindset, a new space. What are we going to step into? What are we afraid of stepping into? Right? So think about that. Communication is key in all this. Setting boundaries, right? And that's, might be a little something that we go over next week. I don't know. Setting boundaries, maybe. We'll see. Communication is definitely a key to this factor, right? Communication, use it as a pathway. What does freedom require? Freedom requires healthy communication. Move from silence to clarity. How do we move from silence to clarity? Communicating our feelings, being real about our feelings, how we feel, what we're going through, right? Being honest about that. And it starts with being honest about that to ourselves and then taking a step to figuring out how I can move forward and how can I deal with this. And I say this every episode, I say this to everybody. You cannot do this by yourself. Stop making excuses. You ain't never gonna afford nothing. It's never gonna be the right time. You're always gonna be busy. Life is gonna life. That's part of the self-awareness. That's part of self-care, is creating that self-care for yourself. So move from silence to clarity. Being honest with yourself, being honest with your feelings, and then moving from there. Tell people how you feel respectfully. You don't have to be nasty. You don't have to be disgusting. You don't have to put a bomb on your chest and walk up to somebody and say, I'm about to blow this up. No, just communicate your feelings. Being abrasive and crazy and disruptive and psychotic is not going to change the outcome. That just makes people stop listening to you. That just makes people say, see, hey, look at Jose. He's still that same guy. Told you all this stuff he been doing ain't working. Told you he can't change. He's still that same crash out. And I still got people that still say that about me. I got family members that still think that about me. And that's okay. I've come to terms with that's what it is what it is. I'm okay with that. I've taken accountability for my part in that. Right? I have people that will not tell me something because they know, or they feel rather, that I'm going to crash out, that I'm not going to take that communication well. So because I know this, I could just try to show them different and hope that they allow me the chance to show them different. And if they don't, that's just something I got to live with, right? Replace the blame. That's what I'm doing, right? And that's what you got to do. Replace blame with taking accountability and ownership of your part in every situation. Because we play a part in every one of those situations. We have to actively listen. Listen to understand, not listen to respond, not listen to argue. Listen to really, truly level 2 listening. Somebody, and I don't know if I've been over that yet, but we'll go over the level 1, level 2, level 3 listening. But level 2 listening, where you're highly engaged. So let me ask you a question. When I ask you guys, what's the definition of intimacy? I think about that for a second. What's the definition of intimacy? Most people, the first thing that comes to mind when you say, what's the definition? Intimacy is something sexual. It's more than that. I can have an intimate conversation with you. I can have an intimate conversation with a male, right? That doesn't mean we're talking anything sexually. Intimacy, break down that word for a second. Into me, you see. I am engaged in what you're communicating to me. I'm listening to your pain. I'm listening to your communication. I'm listening to your feelings. I'm feeling them with you. I'm engaged. I'm locked in. The phone's not bothering me. This is not. I don't care what's going on. I'm listening. But how do I get there? Right? Sometimes, because life is life, we got so many things running through our minds. We got so many things running through our heads. We got so many things going on that, somebody's talking to us. We're like, yeah, we're listening, but we're not really listening. That's level 1 listening, where you're kind of listening, but you're not. And we don't. So how do I get somebody to attempt to level 2 listen or listen more intimately? Is, hey, I really need you to listen to what I'm about to say. Like, I really need you to listen to me right now. No interruptions. Just let's talk. Sometimes we got to go somewhere and talk. Right? We can't talk because of the kids or because of whatever. Or we got to go to a quiet space. But in that, The person has to create a safe space for you to be open to that. How do we get to that? It's communicating that, right? Replacing the blame with ownership, taking accountability, listening intimately, not to respond, listen to listen intimately, not to respond, listen, not to argue, right? Because a lot of times somebody's communicating some information to us and we hear a statement or a keyword and we stop listening because now we're so ready for this person to shut up so I can respond and talk about how they're wrong for thinking this way. No, listen to everything they got to say. Hear them out. Hear their truth. Right? Because what we do when we do those things, when we listen to respond, when we listen to argue, we're minimizing that person's feelings. We're minimizing that person's feeling. We're not seeing that person for who they are. So when we say, well, I just want to be seen, right? I said that before many times. I just want to be seen. What does that mean to you? You know what it means to me. What does it mean to you? Right? So if you want to be seen, you have to see too. You have to be able to see people. Right? Because the energy you give is going to be given back to you. Hopefully. Not all the time. I'm here to tell you that's not always going to happen. That's not always going to happen. Right? Example. If I'm communicating, I say, I feel blank when I feel like this because I feel like this when whatever because of this, right? So in order for you to have that conversation, right? I feel hurt when you don't actively listen to me or when you blow me off because I felt like I was never seen in my life. So when somebody blows me off, so here goes, Coach Jose sharing his most intimate moments, right? When somebody blows me off in a conversation or is not actively listening to me, it's a trigger for me. Because when they do that, I've felt like that my whole life. Felt like that growing up. Felt like that in different situations in my life. Most of the time, I didn't even communicate that I was feeling like that. I just let it be. I never let the other person know or the individuals know that I felt like that. So when I felt like that, that triggers everything else because when it happens, it triggers me all the time. So now I'm letting the person, and the only way you hear that part as to the why, because you could stop listening when I say, hey, I feel hurt or angry when you blow me off or don't listen to me or don't listen when you blow me off and don't listen to me. And now you stop because now you're listening to respond because I don't do this. You overtalk the person or whatever the case. But if you listen, you could understand why. And the only reason I'm able to explain to you why, me, Jose, is able to explain to you why is because I'm self-aware. I've had that conversation with myself. Why do I feel this way when people do this? Why do I feel like why do I feel like this trigger and so angry when people do this? I had to ask myself that question. I had to face those demons. I have to face those shadows and have conversations with them and be like, why do I feel this? Why are you haunting me? Now I'm self-aware. Now I know how to communicate. Now it's easy to communicate because I understand it. And think about when you're learning something. When you don't learn something, you're not confident in it. So when you're not confident, you stutter. Think about when I was my first podcast. I sounded like probably a crazy person because I wasn't confident. Now, so I'm talking like probably looks like I'm talking to myself right now, but I'm recording for all you guys, right? So think about that, right? I'm confident and I know why I feel the way I feel. It may not have nothing to do with this person. It may not have nothing to do with this group of people. It might just be things that I've transpired, traumas that I've dealt with my entire life. But it starts with having those conversations. This is what Shadowproof is about, ladies and gentlemen. This is what Shadowproof is about, is facing those demons, to understand, to dig deep. And sometimes, and not sometimes, most of the time, 98% of the time, we can't figure that out on our own because we got tunnel vision. Because we've been the same person for so long. We're not 5, 6 years old. We've been this same person for so long that we don't know anything different. So we need to talk to somebody. We need to have a conversation with somebody. We need to seek help. We need to reach out to somebody and figure out, maybe they have some insight. You may go through 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people. Join a group, join a something, do something. Stop making excuses why you can't. I ain't got the money, but you got the money to do dumb shit. Stop making excuses. Live for you. Most people got children. Okay, you got children. What does that mean? When your children grow up, you do everything you can to make sure you raise your children to be good men and women, to do the right thing, to make the right decision. At the end of the day, they're still going to make their own decisions. At the end of the day, when they get of age, they're going to go on and live their own life. And you've done all you can. All you can. And they're going to go live with, doesn't mean they love you any less. Do you love your parents any less depending on your situation? No, you're just living your life. That's what your children are going to do. They're in your life temporarily. They ain't in your life forever. And when I say that, I don't mean like they're going to stop talking to you. I say that in the aspect of the fact that they got to live their own life and make their own way because their path is different than yours. You're just there to help them, mold them, and make right decisions and not traumatize them along the way. And unfortunately, we all do that. So if we all do that, then we understand we got to do that. The children are always going to be there. They're always going to love you. Stop making excuses. I can't. You're telling me you can't afford to figure out to try to go. That's what you can't do. But you can go out and buy cigarettes, buy alcohol, do whatever extracurricular. You could afford to do that, but you can't do anything extra than that. You can't do something for yourself. Take time for yourself. Invest in yourself. Invest in your well-being. And I'm not saying, I want to be clear on what I'm saying. I'm not saying it has to be with me. You don't have to do it with me because I'm not for everybody. I'll tell you that right now. And I'm saying that on the podcast. I'm not the right guy for everybody. I'm not. But you don't know who is going to be the right person for you if you don't take that first step. Because all you're doing is making excuses. Right? So, got to figure that out. And it takes taking the first step. Taking the first step. Tie to real. So communication breaks chains of silence. Right? When we communicate, we're breaking things inside of us because now we're opening up. And if we communicate effectively, right, and respectfully, not with the I'm crazy, right? If we communicate effectively, then we're breaking the chain of silence and we're allowing the other person to speak their piece. And we got to be open-minded to that because there may be things we ain't seeing. Again, tunnel vision. Right? Again, tunnel vision. Think about that. Having that tunnel vision, right? We gotta think about that, right? We gotta break these chains. We gotta break these chains at some point. And I'm gonna touch a little bit about these chains of silence is what I'm getting. Because I don't want to go off of that. Right? Communication breaks those chains of silence. I'm gonna touch a little bit about boundaries as protection. And why boundaries are good. And I'll get, maybe, I don't know. We'll see how I feel next week. How many of you actually like my podcast and smash, I said it, smash that like button right now. Look at the like button, like it. I need all of y'all to go to YouTube, like that, like it, go to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and like my podcast. And share it to people, get it out there. Maybe we go a little deeper in this. It depends. See how y'all behave this week. See how y'all become more shadowproof. And listen, I want to hear the comments. Please comment. Please give me your feedback. It's greatly appreciated, and I'm very, very grateful for everything, for all my listeners and all the support I get. because I blow up I blow people up every week. I had this conversation with one of my goddaughters the other day, and I said people are either going to get tired of me and block me, or they're going to actually listen. So you're either going to get tired of getting the text message every week and block me, or you're going to listen. Take a listen. That's all I ask, right? Support your boy, Coach Jose. I'm going to touch a little bit about boundaries and using boundaries as protection, because boundaries are a good thing, right? Boundaries protect authenticity and truth, right? Because of our struggles, right? Common struggles, that everyday struggles, feeling guilty, people pleasing, fear of conflict, right? All these things. Reframe that, because boundaries equals respect, not rejection, right? It's just me saying that, hey, I need this time to myself, right? Use I statements. I need this time to myself. I need to work on me. I need an hour, right? Say no without an apology. I really can't right now. I'm really not in the position to do that right now. I got something going on. This is that. I apologize. I apologize. See how it's a natural statement. I apologize. No. Hey, I got to do this right now. This is something I got to do. If these people you're communicating these boundaries to are really there for you and really care about you, they're going to respect that. And if they don't, then you know what box to put them in. Trust people to be themselves. Just trusting the fact that you can see them well, right? Say no without being apologetic, and stay consistent. You got to stand on those boundaries. You can't. People get accustomed, right? It's like you reprimand your child or reprimand your dog, your animal, your dog, cat, whatever, but then you let them do it again. Well, they're not going to take you seriously. So if you set a boundary and you don't stand on that boundary, they're not going to take you seriously, because they're going to be like, oh, they're just going to say that, and they're going to forgive me later, right? Don't trauma bond. That's a whole nother episode. Look, I'm feeding y'all too much, giving y'all too much, but that's good. Maybe y'all start. You know what I'm saying? Freedom isn't possible without boundaries. I'm gonna say that again for you. Freedom isn't possible without boundaries. This shadowproof thing is all about. That's what we go over. That's what we go over. And it's what you're gonna go over. If you seek this help and how you do this, right? Becoming self-aware, freedom. But freedom's not possible without boundaries, right? Boundaries doesn't mean go seclude yourself, go to work, come home, you lock yourself in the room and you do whatever it is you do in there. That's not freedom. That's isolation. That's a mental health problem. You're legitimately isolating yourself. And just because you think you're not isolating yourself because you're locked in your room, doom scrolling on your phone, glued to the TV, staring at the ceiling, whatever it is you're doing in your room, you're isolating yourself. Because you're not learning anything new. You're not doing anything for the better. What are you doing to grow? Doing the same thing. Taking things around you for granted. That ain't forever. Right? Whether your job or whatever, you're taking those things for granted. So freedom is impossible without boundaries, and in order for you to get different, you have to do different. I'm gonna give you some tools, give you some gems. The Coach Jose Shadowproof gems. What mass journal this? I asked this last week, and I don't want to know. I'm curious to know how many of you actually done it. What mask have you worn? What masks have you worn, and what did they cost? Write one boundary you need to set this week. Just one. Look at how easy this is. Write one boundary that you need to set this week, and stand on it. Stand on it. Practice an honest conversation with somebody you trust about your feelings. An honest conversation about your feelings with somebody you trust. Practice. Simple. 3 things. What mask have you worn, and what did they cost? Write one boundary you need to set this week, and practice one honest conversation about your thoughts. conversation about your feelings with someone you trust. Think about that. Think about that. It's easy. It's let me rephrase that, because it's not easy. I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and tell you it's easy, because it's not easy. It takes practice. It takes self-awareness to know that you need help. That's step one. You can know you need help, but you're not doing anything about it. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, I know I need help. Because most of you I talk to and actually listen to this podcast, I know for a fact communicate to me that they need help, but haven't taken the first step, because they're constantly look in the mirror and say, why do I keep making excuses on seeking help to fix myself? Oh, because I'm going through some. Oh, I got a lot going on right now. Everybody got a lot going on. You're just making excuses. You got to take that first step. First step for your betterment. It just is what it is. Got to take that first step. You know what I do? Your boy Coach Jose, one-on-one group session. Men's group starting in a couple weeks. Men's group's called From Shadows to Strength. This October. All virtual. Safe space. Email coachjose79@gmail.com for the info. Start somewhere, guys. Start somewhere. Those of you that have my number know you can hit me up. Hit me up anytime. We'll talk about it. But it's got to start somewhere. And again, it doesn't have to be me. I'm planting the seed, and I'm going to water it every single week. Right? Could be anybody, but you got to take that first step. Please, I'm going to emphasize smash that like button. Welcome to another episode, the infamous YouTube starter. Welcome to another episode. Heard my kids say that so much growing up. It was hilarious. I still think about it. Do a little close up, wrap up, recap. Freedom begins when you take off the mask and live in your truth. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. You have to break this down. Run through it, baby. You got this. It's okay not to be okay. Remember that. And you're not going through this by yourself. You're not. Trust me, there's a lot of us going through it, been through it, still going through it. I want to thank all of y'all for being part of the Shadowproof community and continuing to listen, continuing to work on yourselves. Those of you that are and consider, and this is, listen, celebrate, because even if you're listening to this podcast, that's the first step into your betterment, right? Don't take that for granted. That's the first step, right? Eventually, you have to go deeper, but this is the first step. So I appreciate all of you. I appreciate all of you for being part of the Shadowproof community. Until next time, my people, step into the light and live shadowproof.